Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace. Salam Allah to the true and living gods. Peace to the gods and earth. Today, family, we're going to cover from the lesson book, the mathematical teachings of the Lost Foundation of Islam in the wilderness of North America in a mathematical way. We're going to touch on, I'm going to do two short parts. One part I'm going to do covering Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, section 5. Then I'm going to take you with an excerpt from one of my old books from 1984. This is from the elaboration of Allah's lessons. And then I'm going to take you to some actual footage, some footage of the war and how Jerusalem got to the position and condition that it's in today. Okay, so let me first read from the lessons. Why did we take Jerusalem from the devil? How long ago? Answer. Because one of our righteous brothers, who was a prophet by the name of Jesus, was buried there. He uses his name to shield this dirty religion, which is called Christianity, also to deceive the people so they will believe in him. Jesus' teachings was not Christianity, it was freedom, justice, and equality. Jerusalem is in Palestine, Asia Minor. Jerusalem is a name given by the Jews, which means founded in peace, and it was first built by the original man who was called Jebus, also Salim and Ariel. We took the city from the devils about 750 years ago. In elaborations, I want to just touch on this name Jerusalem. Okay. This is from page 10 of Elaborations of Allah's Lessons, which covers Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, and the 99 actual facts. The caveman's kingdom of Jerusalem lasted from 1099 to 1187, which was 88 years of hell on earth. The so-called Negroes in America today are the same people who were living in Jerusalem. The original Rab or Lord Saladin fought the devils, meaning white Christians, with an army of black warriors. Thus we, not they or them, but we. Notice in the lesson, it says, because one of our righteous brothers was a prophet by the name of Jesus buried there. He uses his name to shield his dirty religion, which is called Christianity. Also to deceive the people so they will believe in him. Jesus' teachings was not Christianity, it was freedom, justice, and equality. Jerusalem is in Palestine, Asia Minor. Jerusalem is a name given by the Jews, which means founded in peace, and was first built by the original man, who was called Jebus, Salim, and Ariel. We took the city from the devils. We took the city from the devils about 750 years ago. Meaning, not you and I physically, but our ancestors. Now, I mean, you know, they were melanated people. They were black people. They were, a lot of people get confused with their story. Now, I mean, you know, like the nomenclature, the politics, the land, the money, the spoils of war, as the Holy Quran teaches in chapter 8, really confuses the issue. So I like to simplify it. Basically, they were not fighting over religion per se. The Crusades really wasn't about Jesus versus Allah, or the Bible versus the Quran, or the Catholics versus the Muslims. It really was more about politics, like all wars. Wars really come from a grievance. Now, I mean, they're really based on resources, money, moolah, the spoils of war, the booty. Now, I mean, that's really what it always is about. Now, I mean, anytime you see confusion in Africa, now, I mean, all you gotta do is, what do that land have as a natural resource? It's gold, it's titanium, it's oil. Now, I mean, it's something that some European power wants or needs, or both, and they are shrewd enough to divide and conquer the original people amongst themselves and have us fighting and arguing and killing each other so they could come in and actually take control of the area. So at the end of the day, the Pope of Rome and them, they came in and took over Jerusalem. So the Jews, the Catholics and or Christians and the Muslims are now under European power and control. So now you have Israel that's saying, oh, we annexed it, we taking Jerusalem as our capital and making this, and you're like, oh, what about the Palestinians? And you know what I mean? And there's all this misinformation and misdirection going about. Okay, so we, not they or them, but we, the so-called Negroes, took the city from the devils about 750 years ago. Okay, 1187 plus 750 years equals the year 1937. About 750 years ago, as it says in Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1. Now, this name Jerusalem actually is from 3 black lords or black gods, black men: Jebus, Salim, and Ariel. Okay, they're one nation and not one person. Okay, these names represent 3 independent black rulers historically. Actually, in this modern day and time, Jeba is the land north of Jerusalem. Salim or Selim is the land east of Yaqub's or Jacob's well. And Ariel, the lion of God, that's what Ariel basically means. The Ariel, the lion of God, is now in a lake on the land of Jerusalem, northeast of Jerusalem, actually. Jerusalem is Hebrew for Yasu, and in Arabic it is Isa. So some historians even say that Jebus is a misnomer of the name Jesus. I mean, you know, that may have some significance, but not to the extreme that they take it to. Know what I mean? So, in plain language, when we think of Christian, like in the lesson it says, Jesus' teachings was not Christianity. It was freedom, justice, and equality. Don't get caught up on the names. There are countless names for Christianity. Now, I mean, when we say Christianity, actually, we're talking about Catholicism. Now, I mean, Catholicism is the original Christianity. And I don't like saying original because Catholicism is actually the same as Judaism. Judaism is the same as Islam. Now, I mean, the same as, you know, everything came from black folks. Let's put it like that. I would, you could take and call it Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Hinduism. All it really is black folks sharing their spiritual sciences with people and taking their spiritual sciences and migrating to different parts of the world. And over time and space and places and languages and rituals and symbols, it becomes its own thing. And imagine it like this. Say you have Master Fard Muhammad. Say you got Marcus Messiah Garvey, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Father Divine, Sweet Daddy Grace, Master Fard Muhammad, all them teaching black folks in the ghetto in the wilderness of North America. They're basically, you know, we get caught up on titles and arguments. Oh, with you with him, who you follow? It's like I follow all of them. I learn from all of them. Actually, they're all teaching freedom, justice, and equality. They're teaching freedom, justice, and equality. That's just a simple way of saying it. Now, I mean, so with the Catholic churches, you have all these different branches. The rich, the 10%, the rich, the slave makers of the poor, the ones that had the money, the ones that had the army, the military, actually is what we would call in this day and time the Latin church. Okay, the Latin church basically is over, it's like 1.3 billion people, just the Latin branch of that. Then you have the Protestants. The Protestants are the protesters against the Pope. They're reading the Bible for themselves. It's like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. No, let's say Imam Wafdi Muhammad. Let's take it back a little far. Say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is reportedly dead in 1975. We ain't getting into if he's alive or dead. I'm just speaking in general terms. All right, say the messenger dies in 1975, and he was the messenger over the whole Nation of Islam, if you will. Now, while he was physically alive, the Nation of Islam had already began producing sects and divisions. His brother, Khalat, rose up in the temple against Messenger Elijah Muhammad, tried to kill him, and formed his own thing, a society of our own. You had different ministers under Master Muhammad that felt as though the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wasn't a better teacher and leader than them. So they start forming their own little things. Now, I mean, their teachings may have manifested as a form of Christianity, Afrocentricity, a black interpretation of the Bible, a Hebrew interpretation. You have people. I remember back in the 80s, I used to read literature from, I forgot his name. He basically he was a Hebrew Israelite in Miami, and the devil of course went after that organization. But one of the things I remember was, when I came across his newsletters, this back like 1984, I'm reading his newsletters and I'm like, wait a minute, word for word, this is the fall of America. He was teaching how to live the fall of America. And I'm like, I was like, who is this brother? But then later on I found, oh, he used to be a minister to Nation of Islam and broke off and formed his own thing. So you had different branches of the Nation of Islam that broke off before Father-in-Law, or the Nation of Gods on Earth, commonly known as the 5%ers, established themselves in Harlem and then eventually around the world. So that's nothing new in spiritual sciences. If you look at Nubia, now I mean, you had them splinter up into all types of tribes, if you will, spiritual systems, and eventually they move and establish Kemet or Egypt. Now I mean, but ancient Egypt is really not the origin, if you will. Now I mean, we could go to Nubia, we can even go deeper to other places. Now I mean, so we look at it basically as a holistic view. Now I mean, basically we're saying Asiatic. We're talking, let's go way, 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 way back in time. Not before religion. Let's go back before all these tribes was all over Africa dividing and fighting and arguing with each other. Let's go back to when the 7 continents were all connected as one. There's a science there. Now I mean, there is evidence. There is those that study rocks, those that are geologists, if you will, those that study mineral deposits and isotopes. They'll tell you like, yo, it's scientifically crystal clear to the scientists. Like, yo, we don't know when and how it really happened. Some people call it Pangea. Some say it happened this time, what have you. But we do see that West Africa fits onto Brazil and South America basically like a jigsaw puzzle. At one time, Africa and Americas, I'm saying all 3 of them, North America, Central America, and South, they all was connected into one. We could see how India broke off. We could see China. We could see how Madagascar broke off from Africa. If we go to Madagascar and take the rocks from Madagascar and compare it to the rocks from that area, it not only fits perfectly, but when you study the mineral deposits, the science, you'd be like, the evidence is clear that the land used to be one land. The people used to be one people. Now, the scientists in 2022, they use an out of Africa theory. So they're talking a limited period of time with the black man. Our position is you cannot trace our origin. Our origin is not Africa or what we call today Mecca or Becca. Mecca used to be Becca. Now, I mean, all that land, so-called Israel or Palestine, the Canaanites, Shem, I mean, all those biblical names, they're just talking about black folks. Now, I mean, to put it in plain language. So when we talk about Jebus, Salim, and Ariel, we're talking about black men that was fighting for peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. They themselves would not say use the term Muslim or Catholic or Jew or Hebrew. But if you understand the nature of what is being taught, you'll understand that if you're black, you have to be a black Hebrew. If you're black, you have to be a Pan-African. If you're black, you have to be a 5%er. If you're black, you have to be an FYMVT. If you're black, you have to be a Garvite. If you're black, you have to be a Moor. You can't be a Asiatic or an African unless you're a Moor. It's just that the family it's like say your personal family. Like I got cousins I ain't seen in a while. I got aunts, uncles, what have you. Now I mean we sometimes brothers and sisters stray away. Now I mean so the family can keep blossoming in different parts and they have different beliefs. Now I mean your sister may be a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian, or she may be a Pan-African, she may be a Moor. You know what I mean? But we're all still one family. It's just that works for her. So I'm like, I'm not trying to convert you. I mean, we may have an uncle that's an atheist. He'd be like, I don't believe in none of y'all spiritual systems. You may have someone that's into sciences. Now I mean, what have you. So we don't want to get lost in this reality. So basically the simple language is G-Bus, Celine, and Ariel were freedom fighters. That's the most simplest way that I could put it. Now I mean, and in around 1095 to about 1291, the British Empire was fighting the Ottoman empires or the Turks. They had the same flag. We have the same flag as them, except ours is reversed. They got the crescent on this side. If you look in the sky, you see the moon on the left side. That means the old moon. That's the moon going out. I mean, that's the quarter of the moon that represents Orthodox Islam, or the Ottoman Empire, or the Turkish Empire, or the Eastern Muslims. The Nation of Islam have it on this side from Master Muhammad to represent the Muslims in the wilderness of North America and what we call throughout the diaspora. Okay, we could be in Europe, we can be in Arabia. You got black folks that are in Brazil, South America, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico. Those brothers and sisters in Mexico, those brothers and sisters, the Taino Indians, the Boricuans, they're all family. We're all brothers and sisters. It's just that we have different branches to our tree, if you will. Now I mean, so Pope Urban II, he's the one that actually went to war against the darker powers, black, brown, yellow, and red. He was the one that wanted to colonize the world. Britain literally took over just about the whole planet Earth. Wherever Britain went, they came like gangsters. Now I mean, the European powers used religion. They had people that wanted to join and fight because they was like, I'm not even a Catholic, I'm not even a Christian, but I owe money to y'all, and y'all saying if I join the Crusades, y'all gonna clear me of my debt. That's like clearing your credit cards in this day and time. You like, count me in. And they like, listen, not only that, the Pope gonna bless y'all swords, and when y'all get over there, y'all could do whatever y'all want. Pillage the women, the gold, whatever you find, you can steal stuff, burn stuff, show you a sociopath, a psychopath. Know what I mean? So you had people that was fighting for the money. That you had people that was fighting for political reasons. They was like, damn, look, I'll get over here. We take over this, that. I'm taking this land. Know what I mean? I'm people go to war. They be like, man, we over here robbing banks. We over here robbing jewelry stores. Now, I mean, I remember being in the belly of the beast, and the devils came back from Iraq. This was like in the 1990s, whatever. They had all this stolen Iraqi money, and they was telling me, it's like, Ali, what this saying Arabic? This is, I mean, you know what I mean? And I'm like, man, you devils stole that. And they like, yeah, we stole it. You know what I mean? And I used to talk to them in reality, and them devils, they was the type of devils that tell you, Ali, we know we devils. and we proud of it. Know what I mean? It was, you know, they was being fictitious, but they was saying like, man, we poor white folks up in Pennsylvania, and if they built a state prison up in these mountains, up in the Poconos or whatever, we don't have no money, and y'all hustling, doing whatever y'all doing in Philly, and y'all come up here, we going to eat off y'all. We making money off y'all. That's the reality of it. So Jerusalem or Yurch, or what they call the Biden place, Shalem, the place of peace. Now, I mean, Jerusalem is a literal and symbolic struggle for us. Now, I mean, you know, we're trying to find a place of peace, and that's what Master Muhammad developed with the Holy Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam was our place of peace. That was our strength. And the mentally dead, and I'm including myself with the mentally dead, the 85%, we didn't join the Nation of Islam necessarily just for religious reasons. We joined the Nation of Islam because really most people don't even understand the religion part. Now, I mean, you know, but people come for different reasons. Like I used to see the brothers with the unity. They were so disciplined. They was sharp brothers with the bow ties, always clean cut. Now, I mean, they was men's men. And when you don't have a father at home, I didn't never had no biological brothers that I knew of anyway. You know what I mean? But here they calling each other brothers. You know what I mean? So here it is. You don't have a brother. Now you got 10 brothers, 50 brothers, 100 brothers. You know what I mean? You know, and those of you that grew up in the city of North Philadelphia, you know that the Nation of Islam was bigger than the Nation of Islam. Like my sister never was a registered member of the Nation of Islam, but her, and I would say every girlfriend she had, I never seen none of them, they was walking around with scarves. They would wear their halter tops, or they would wear their little African shirts and their little jeans and whatever the case may be. They would wear their little clogs, sandals, and things like that. But the culture, the dress code for mentally dead was conscious. Like they was like Afrocentric, Islamic. Now, I mean, you know, even as children, we wasn't in the Nation of Islam. We was mentally dead, but we wasn't. We would go to church on Easter because we got a new suit and we got some money to go to movies to get some candy, whatever. And we usually go see some horror stuff, anything rated R. I mean, but one of the things I remember about the brothers was whatever teachings they instilled in us, when they wasn't around, I was born with the name Asha, that's the night prayer. I would never let my homies buy or eat pork. If I used to work in a grocery store, 2 stores, so I had a real, everybody that know me from down 12th and Nedro, they'd be like, oh yeah, AC, he worked at Johnny Bird's store at 12th and Nedro, and 2 blocks down at 13th and Parkside Avenue. Little Johnny Bird, that's my little brother. We're together every single day. You know what I mean? So if I'm in a store, that's my position. But every last one of my homies, I would say none of them was Muslim. But if they was in a store, somebody'd be like, yo, let me get a Hostess lemon pie. And the dude be like, man, don't get that. That shit got pork in it. Now, I mean, we go to the store. We never got an Italian hoagie. We got a Muslim hoagie, a Turkish, like the flag of Islam. We would get a Turk hoagie. We would get a turkey hoagie because we knew the turkey hoagie didn't contain pork. And they explained to us like the Turks or the Turkish was Muslim. So we didn't really understand the science of it. We didn't have no lessons. We never seen Elijah Muhammad or Minister Farrakhan and none of that. But the culture of the Nation of Islam made the city of Philadelphia a place of peace. It made Detroit a place of, it made Washington, D.C., Chicago, New Jersey, Miami, Atlanta, Los Angeles, where they established in the wilderness of North America, all of these places of peace that we were dealt with peace, truth, freedom, justice, and equality. When we come in a Muslim store, it was clean. The prices was cheap. The quality of the stuff was extreme. Now, I mean, the sisters were modest and beautiful and polite and respectful. You psychologically, you just would never think of disrespecting a sister. And shame on the fools that did disrespect the sister. And the same thing with the brothers. They was militant, but they wasn't like they better than you. Now, I mean, they always used to reach out. They always was trying to help us. Now, I mean, even when we doing wrong, we was aware that if the brothers come, they gonna stop us from doing wrong. Like, if we go in game one fight, they gonna break it up. Now, I mean, if we got real beef, if I got a beef with my homie, that thing was like, nah. Now, I mean, don't use no guns and knives. Put the gloves on. And they'd be like, all right. Now, I mean, nah, you give your brother, this is where the word came from, a fair one. You see, we, before the fruit, our thing was, I'm a sucker puncher. We gonna jump them. I mean, we're a gang. They was like, nah, brother, nah, you know what I mean? Y'all don't know how to do wrong right. If you gonna fight your brother and give him a fair one. You know what I mean? If it's a situation like you got an 18-year-old muscle-bound dude beefing with a 13-year-old skinny dude, they like, nah, homie, how you going? You know what I mean? That ain't fair. You can only fight in a fair one. If you're playing chess and you're 15 and you're playing chess with a 9-year-old little sister, it's your duty to let her win, even if she lose. That's a winner. That's a champion. You know what I mean? So they instill those type of values, you know what I mean, in us, and they did not talk about us. They talked with us. You see young boys today running around shooting, hustling, I mean, just wilding out because grandma, moms, dads, uncles, big brothers, the church, the masjid, the mosque, the police, the politicians, everybody want to talk about them. But nobody is going out there in the street helping them to help themselves, being a mentor to them. Now, I mean, before the violence, now, I mean, they need help during the time of peace. They need to understand that there are abodes of peace. Now, I mean, when they understand the code of the street, in the Elder wrote a book called The Code of the Street, literally. Now, I mean, Akbar Bad, different brothers wrote The Death of the Game. They need people that's not going to judge them, but put them down with like, listen, shorty, you know what I mean? We ain't telling you don't get no money. We want you to understand how this drug game really go. All that snitches get stitches, shorty, you ain't never been in the penitentiary. When it come to that big money, they snitching. When it come to that gang stuff, them dudes gonna snitch like a mug. When you're in jail, they snitch. Now, I mean, that's how the devil literally made it easy and convenient for snitches. They literally have witness protection programs. Anytime you see somebody like Sammy the Bull, John Gotti, and he got like 16 bodies, and he's snitching, all that gangster, mafia stuff, get that stuff out your head. Them days is long.